Welcome to the 6th video in the Simblee for Mobile tutorial series. In this video we're going to talk about UI layout and concepts of color. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to pretty much start from scratch again. We're going to go back to just the four main functions that we use in a Simblee for Mobile program and include the library. And right off the bat, let's add the things required to the setup loop that we talked about a few videos ago. Figured this would just be good practice. So we need the Simblee for Mobile device name, and let's call it layout this time. We need the advertisement data. And I'm thinking we're going to leave it blank for fun. See if anything happens, any errors, any warnings. And last thing after we've established device name and advertisement data is begin. Then what do we need in the loop? Process. To be called once every time through the loop. Now that we've got those established, let's start in on our layout. To set up our UI, the first thing that we do is the begin screen and the end screen. And so far for us, that's really resulted in just basically a plain white canvas. And we didn't talk about what we could pass into those functions at all. So to play around with that, I wanna add something on screen that we'll be able to see move around. So let's do draw text, and we'll give it similar coordinates as last time that we called it up, 150, and we'll do, why not hello world this time. Alright. Now when we do this, as this is pretty much exactly what we did back in video 3, where the first thing we did was just draw text on screen. But I want to show to you how we can add color to our screen, so we don't need a white screen. So in the begin screen, the first argument you can pass into begin screen is a color parameter. And there are a number of ways to do colors. Simblee for Mobile has a handful of colors predefined for you, so you can just type them in. Those are black, white, red, green, blue, yellow, magenta, cyan. What else do we have here? Gray, and clear. Now why is clear in there? Well, we'll talk about that. Simblee for Mobile allows 4-channel color. So you've got red, green, blue, and then alpha, which is your transparency or your opacity, depending on how you prefer to look at it. I'm going to comment those out, but leave them there. So what we can do is, if we wanted our screen and our user interface to be blue or yellow, we could just pass that in as the first argument, yellow screen. And then we would compile and upload to the Simblee, and we would have a yellow screen. So let's do that and prove to you that that's the case. Alright, everything compiled okay, so let's go ahead and upload that. Alright, success. Now let's go to the camera. Here we are, let's open our Simblee app. There we go, we've got layout right there for us. It's the name of our device. Open it up. There you go. Yellow screen, hello world. Let's modify the colors a little bit more. Okay, so we've seen a predefined color used here with yellow. Now, what if we don't want to use one of their predefined colors? Let's talk about that. So up here, I'll just use some scrap space here. Simblee has the RGB function built in, and that allows you to use 8-bit values for each of those channels, RG and B. So we could set like 100 and 200 and 50. So that's going to give us 200 out of 255 on the green channel, 100 out of 255 on the red, 50 out of 255 on the blue. And we could store that into a variable, and we'll just call it color1. And that is going to be of the data type color, color_t. That is a valid data type, though it is not changing colors for us. Get it, color? Even though it's not highlighting itself as a blue like most data types, that is valid. So now we could take color1 and we could pass that into begin screen here. Compiles just fine. Upload. Alright, everything went fine on the upload, so let's go take a look at it on the camera. Let's open it. There you go. Almost it's like a grassy green there. Definitely not yellow. And that's using a variable stored color. So let's go and mess around with that a little bit more. So we've used the RGB function and the color data type to store a color. Now let's show that fourth color channel, that alpha channel, or the transparency channel. We'll make another one, color T, name it color 2. This is just RGBA. Now if we were to do something a little bit different, I don't know, 50, 200, this one is also going to require an 8-bit value for the alpha channel, and this is same 8-bit here, with 0 being completely opaque and 255 being completely transparent. So something in the middle-ish, we'll go with 100, and let's see what happens when we pass that in. Alright, so let's see what our 4-channel color looks like. So we've got purple. Now you wouldn't really notice that there's any transparency here all that much. If we were to play around with the transparency and come back and forth, we would be able to see it. But I think we'll be able to see the transparency channel a little bit more coming up soon here when we start adding some more graphical features to that. I want to show one more way of assigning a color. So let's go back to Arduino. Okay, the last way to assign, or rather to store a color I want to show is just using a constant. So before we are using data types, and these are variables. They could actually be changed and reassigned later in the code if we wanted. But if they're going to be just something constant, we don't want extra global variables running around. We could do something like this, where we create a constant name and then assign that constant name. It becomes a macro. And we'll do something, just try and be different from the other ones. I guess we haven't used red all that much. So in this case, everywhere that color 3 gets used, it's going to plug in this, and it's going to return its own color data type. So let's throw color 3 into here. Upload that. And we'll take a look at it in the app. Okay, so let's take a look at that last way to store color. And there we go. We've got a new color, and this is using just a constant value. Now let's move on to something different. We've looked at color and using it to determine the screen color. Now let's pass it into that text and change the text color. Okay, so now that we've got the screen color assigned, let's go ahead and pass in the parameter for color into the text. This is something we'll get into with all of the draw functions in later videos, but most of them you can give a color to. And in this case, like we used the switch before, we could have given a color to the switch, but we didn't. And now we're going to give a little bit of color to text. Now we could use something like cyan, something built in, blue, whatever. We could, I haven't shown this one yet, we could simply throw the RGB function in there and, oh, not using it, and it will use its own, it will return the color data type inside of that function, and the text will now have that particular RGB value. We could pass in color 1, anything, but basically we can add color to text by passing it as the 4th argument. So let's take a look at this. Let's connect up. And there we go. We've got the text is now green, and we've got, I changed the background to black off camera here. Actually looks like it's a terminal console or something with green on black, but there you go. You can see how color can be assigned to the background, to the screen that is, and to the text. Now let's get into the coordinate system again, showing a few more functions out of that.